Something like this really means a lot to me, and an awful lot. But there's a lot of people I ought to thank. As I walked in here, Jay Paterno said, hey, don't forget to thank the groundskeepers. They've been here for 25 years doing things. Coaching staff, and a really good bunch of kids who I think proved today that they got, they're good kids. One thing about this football team, I don't know, times we struggle, but geez, there's a lot of character and there's a lot of feeling for each other, and they're really good competitors. And you've seen us a couple of times make those kind of drives when we've been all against Temple, going way back to Temple. We're getting licked. We had to make a drive in the last couple of minutes to win that one. So we've been fortunate.
Very ugly sexual abuse charges against a former coach at a college football powerhouse, Penn State. There are a lot of questions this morning, including how much university officials and legendary head coach Joe Paterno knew and when they knew it. ABC's TJ Winnick is on the campus this morning with more on this stunning story. TJ, good morning to you.
Vianna, good morning to you. For decades, Penn State football played here at Beaver Stadium has been known as the gold standard of how a college program should be run. That's why these allegations, these shocking allegations of abuse and cover-up have shaken this entire sport to its very core.
The allegations are shocking that here in one of the biggest and most storied football programs in America, boys as young as 10 were being sexually abused by one of the team's most prominent figures.
Paterno is no longer the head football coach, effective immediately.
The news touched off a protest that went very wrong, with special wrath reserved for the media.
When the country looks at this, that you're out here protesting this way.
Why are we protesting?
What about,
Reno!
listen,
What about the victims? Why is the news all about Joe Paterno and not the kids? It's the media who singled out Joe Paterno. The media never talked about the kids. They made him look like the freaking villain. You call him a legend, treat him like a legend.
Do you think he'd want you to be doing this, though?
No.
Light posts came down, and then police with riot gear moved in.
Police are spraying tear gas everywhere. It disperses the crowd for a few minutes, and then start marching back in. They're very liberal when they're using the tear gas.
And they kept on using it during several hours of moments later, students were in the streets.
Joe Paul's not the one who should be taking the fall for this. Save Joe Paul!
Why aren't hundreds and thousands of people coming into the street in support of those 8 kids who were abused?
I would agree with that too, and I'd like to say as a Penn State student, I think my heart goes out first to the victims and the families, and I hope they receive their justice.
Joe Paterno, who said he was disappointed by the decision, came out of his home and urged calm.
Hey, look, get a good night's sleep. All right, study. All right, we still got things to do.
We love you, Joe.
I love you, buddy. I love you, Joe.
Has provoked in all of us deeply powerful emotions and shaken our most fundamental confidence in many ways. As we, the Executive Committee, the Division I Board, and I, have examined and discussed this case, we've kept foremost in our thoughts the tragic damage that has been done to the victims and their families. No matter what we do here today, there is no action we can take that'll remove their pain and anguish. But what we can do is impose sanctions that both reflect the magnitude of these terrible acts and that also ensure that Penn State will rebuild an athletic culture that went horribly awry.
Not a traditional day, to say the least, in State College either. That is where we find Rick Pizzo, who is there live gauging the reaction on the Penn State campus to these massive penalties levied against the football program and against the university. Rick, what are you hearing here today? What's the reaction been?
Well, Dave, we spent some time this morning on campus at a gathering spot known as Hub, where some large screen TVs are located I would say around 100 current and prospective students and parents were gathered to listen to the NCAA press conference. When Mark Emmert first announced the $60 million fine, the staggering amount certainly drew some gasps. People knew the fine was coming. I do not think that anyone here believed the fine would be of that magnitude. The same applies to the bowl game ban. People were expecting a postseason ban, but some folks I talked to afterwards said they were expecting 1, max 2 years, not the 4 years. The big surprise, though, for the folks here at Penn State came with the vacating of all wins from 1998 through 2011. I looked at the crowd gathered at Hub, and people were simply shaking their heads in disbelief. One woman actually moving her hand over her mouth and gasping audibly. After the press conference wrapped up, I had a chance to speak with some students who watched that press conference, and here was that reaction.
Well, it is a bad thing, but they're penalizing kids that didn't have anything to do with anything. It's just sad. It's wrong, kind of.
What do you think the initial emotion is going to be from your fellow students?
Everyone's going to just be depressed and it's going to be a little bit quiet for a while because no one's going to know what to do.
What do you think football is going to be like around here, knowing that none of these guys that are playing now can play in the postseason or any bowl games?
I think that the players that want to be here will stay because they love the school for the academics and for the community, not for just the football team.
So as a prospective parent, your thoughts on the decision you just heard?
It's very upsetting. We're a Penn State family. I went there. My older daughter went there. And we would not let this decision, I would not, I want to speak for my son, affect this decision whether he should come here or not.
You're a prospective student. Football is such a huge part of the culture here at Penn State. Will this affect your decision at all?
Absolutely not. It really just makes me want to join the student body even more because everyone here is so great, and it's really tragic.
I can't wait.
It out. He's under center. Turn. Belton, left side. Belton to the near side. Touchdown, Penn State. The Nittany Lions win it in overtime and knock Michigan from the ranks of the unbeaten. They storm off the bench into the near corner of the end zone. 107,884. Love it. And on homecoming, the Nittany Lions deliver.
No matter how much we're down, what people say about we're not going to quit, we're going to fight every football game, every day, every practice, we get better and better. War Daddies, baby! Family on three, 1, 2, 3.
Great. They're both great. You know, to be the head coach at Penn State football, you're pretty good.
This from the NCAA on Monday after lifting sanctions on Penn State's football program. Due to Penn State University's significant progress toward ensuring its athletics department functions with integrity, the NCAA Executive Committee today eliminated the school's postseason ban effective immediately and will return the full complement of football scholarships in 2015 and 16. And with that, the Nittany Lions will soon be back at full strength.
Sanctions. They gave back a few scholarships. Then a couple months after that, George Mitchell actually spoke to the university's board of trustees. I believe it was December of last year. And again, he kind of hinted that if Penn State continues to continue with some of the recommendations that were put forth by the NCAA and by the Free Report in 2012, that he would look again at revising the sanctions in September of this year, which was obviously ended up being today. But as far as when did they know that this was a real possibility, I think you look back to about a month ago, and this goes much further even past the football team and James Franklin, like all the way to the Pennsylvania State House. There's been a couple.
Always going to be Penn State, regardless of what happens to certain people. We're Penn State. I'm proud of you fellas. I'm proud of you. I've always been proud of you. We're proud of you. Hey, let's all just see that football team on Saturday, all right, and beat Nebraska. You know, there's been some criticism of the way we've handled some of the poor victims. My wife and I, we have 17 grandkids, from 16 to 3, and we pray for them every night. We're going to start praying for those kids that got involved with some of the problems that we talked about. Right? They don't deserve it. They have, and we owe it to them to say a prayer for them and to make sure they know and understand that their life is still one that can be enriched, one that they can make a significant impact on other people and do a lot of different things, as all of you can. So God bless everybody.
We love you, Joe.